If you're watching this video right now, that means you want to know the 3 things that you are going to need to get through any breakup. That's right, any breakup. Whether it's a breakup from a friend, from a platonic or romantic relationship, these are the 3 things that you're going to need. And I want you to know that I have spent so much time developing these 3 methods, so please do not take them lightly. And please make sure you watch this entire video because I'm going to take my time and explain them to you in detail, slowly, and with lots of examples so you can fully not only understand, but also learn these practices and begin to put them into practice right away. If you guys are new here, hello. My name's Bradley Marcus Is. We talk about how to live life more peacefully on this channel, and we do it with Theravadan Buddhist practice. Not Buddhist religion, Buddhist practice. It does not matter what background you come from or what your beliefs are. Theravadan Buddhist practice is really more of just that, a practice and an art form on how to live life more peacefully. That's really what it is at its core. Just like martial arts is the art form of the body, Theravadan practice is the art form of the mind and how we live in relationship to our reality and our life, how we feel about it, how we perceive it, etc. And in today's video, I felt that I would come up and give you my formula, the formula that I have used again and again, that I have discovered through my practice, that have helped me live life more peacefully in some of the toughest times of life, whether it be a breakup, a transition, a change in life that's just uncomfortable, something that you had to do but maybe didn't want to. This formula will work for you. So again, make sure you stay for this whole video. I want you guys to get the most benefit from it, and feel free to leave any comments at the end. So what are the 3 things that you are going to need to get through any breakup? The first is this: non-attachment. The second is this: self-love. And the third is this: grief. Specifically, understanding how to grieve. Now, the great thing is a lot of these things all tie in with one another in different ways. And the goal for me in this video is for you to develop your art form, your practice. And I'm doing this for you because I want you to live life more peacefully. That's the goal of my entire video. It has less to do with Buddhism or religion or anything like that. It's mainly just so you can live life peacefully. So if you're open to that and if you want to learn more, continue watching this video. So let's talk about the 3 steps. These 3 steps are in this specific order because as you start to practice these 3 steps, you will be able to process in this order anything that life throws at you, no matter what it is. Now, let's break each one down and then talk about how to apply them. First off is non-attachment, also known as alobha in Pali, the ancient language that the Buddha spoke. Well, technically he didn't speak that exact language, but it's a derivative of it. Non-attachment is very different than detachment. And I need you to understand this because it gets quite confusing when people start to throw these words around. Detachment is removing oneself from an experience, similar to a nihilist. They don't care about anything. It doesn't matter anyway. Who cares? This is not the correct practice, my friends. Do not follow anybody that teaches you about detachment. The truth is when some people use the word detachment, they're really speaking about non-attachment. Non-attachment is very different. Non-attachment is staying completely present with the experience, acknowledging it, honoring it, but at the same time not attaching to it or attaching to another experience. So let me give you an example. My favorite example I always use, the ice cream cone example. Let's say I'm walking with my ice cream cone and I am enjoying it very much. And it's a hot summer day and I take a lick and it falls onto the floor. Now, there are a few different ways I could handle this situation. Number 1, I could be attached. I could care so much about that ice cream. I could throw my hands up in the air and cry and stomp on the ground like a little kid. And I think I've even done that once. Just kidding. Or I could be detached. It doesn't matter anyway. Who cares? Screw the ice cream cone. This sucks. I don't mind. Whatever. Which Side note, most of the time people still do mind, but they're trying to tell themselves that they don't. So with detachment, you may find yourself removing yourself from the situation, changing that experience, and not honoring it. Non-attachment, however, is very different. Non-attachment is the holy grail in Buddhist practice, and non-attachment will relieve you from your suffering while still staying present with the experience. In the ice cream cone situation, the ice cream falls on the ground. I acknowledge that the ice cream is on the ground. I acknowledge that this is unpleasant. I acknowledge that I spent $5, $10 on my ice cream, and now it's sitting on the floor. I acknowledge that this is uncomfortable, but I do not react to it. In Buddhism, this is called upekkha, or equanimity. It is one of the 4 divine abodes, and basically, once you develop it, I consider it a superpower. Upekkha can help you in many tough situations, and non-attachment leads to upekkha. But to keep things simple, basically, I acknowledge that it happened, but I do not attach to it, and I do not detach to it. This is where the art form comes in, my friends, the balance. The balance. Let's move forward, because we got a few more things to cover. Number 2, self-love. Self-love, look at self-love as your barrier. It is your protector in this life. Self-love is going to prevent you from getting into situations that may cause unpleasant situations in the future. For example, if I have a lot of self-love and someone treats me poorly, I'm going to recognize that, and I'm going to not interact with that person or spend time with that person again in the future. The problem with self-love is it's not really taught or fostered in our lives. And there are different ways to do that, which I'm going to explain in a moment. But basically, I just wanted to clarify in an example. Let's say somebody starts to date someone else, and that person treats them poorly. But you find that even though the person treats the first person poorly, that first person continues to go back, knowing that the results of that decision are just going to lead to more tragic, uncomfortable, unpleasant, sad experiences. Why would they put themselves in that situation? It's typically a lack of self-love. Self-love is your protector, your barrier. It stops you from going into those situations. It stops you from being pulled back into the gravity that is toxicity. I know some of you know what I'm talking about. So you're going to need self-love. You're going to need self-love to make sure that you are protected. Number 3, grief. Grief is if not one of the most powerful experiences that we can experience as humans. And I say this not lightly, because I myself have had to go through a lot of grief. I lost one of my best friends in a tragic freak accident when I was 27, I believe, and he was 28. It sucks. And I learned what grief really was in that experience. The thing about grief is that it can be toxic in itself. And that's why I say grief, but specifically how to grieve. Grieving properly and appropriately is going to provide us with this pathway to get through any breakup, to get through any tragic experience in our lives. Grief is, in a weird way, beautiful, because grief honors that experience that much more. It takes time, it holds space for it, and it builds a healthy relationship with change, a healthy relationship with the inevitable that is change. It's not something that we can avoid, that change. And if you are lucky enough to not have gone through a grief experience, then I would say continue to watch this video, because it's inevitable. We will grieve. We will grieve eventually, whether it be something small or large, it will happen. It's part of life. And if you have gone through a grief experience and maybe you didn't have the best relationship with that experience, then I would also urge you to continue to watch this video. So we have our 3 things, don't we? Number 1, non-attachment. Number 2, self-love. And number 3, grief. How do we apply this? We apply it in succession, and we apply it with mindfulness, and we apply it with understanding each of these 3 things to keep us grounded and present and honored, to keep us protected, and to keep us understanding of the truth. So let's talk about these three things in a breakup and how you would apply them. The first thing is, let's say we are at a point, let's just put ourselves in a position in a timeline. We are right now getting broken up with. Somebody has completely cut us off. We are no longer contacting them. We've had the hard conversation, and now we're just in a place where we're sad. It sucks. We have been broken up with, or we're doing the breakup. And regardless, it's sad and it sucks. The first thing we would recognize is that we need to be aware that this is an unpleasant sensation. Just like the ice cream that fell on the floor, but maybe times a million, this is a very, very unpleasant sensation. And what the first thing we're going to do is we are going to hold non-attachment to it. We need to immediately, as quickly as possible, distance ourselves from that emotion. Remember, not detach, but non-attachment. When I say distance, I don't mean remove ourselves. I simply mean untangle ourselves from it. A lot of times we literally tangle ourselves with a feeling. We become that feeling. It's why in our language we say the words, I am angry, when really we should say, anger is present. That's one I picked up from the Tibetan Buddhists. Anyway, moving forward, being aware that we need to untangle ourselves from the situation and practice non-attachment. Recognize that that feeling, that sadness is just another passing moment of existence. It is another feeling that is passing by. It is not who we are. We are not that feeling, my friends. It's just there. That's the first thing. Remember though, with non-attachment, we're still honoring it, but we're not becoming it. Directly after, it's important to start to foster self-love and self-compassion. The good news about self-love is you can foster it when you're not in this position, and I actually recommend that you do that because it is your barrier, it is your shield. You're going to need to protect yourself in the future. So, a good way to do that, and if you haven't done this, I recommend you do it. It's great. Go into the mirror and look at yourself in the eyes and start with, I love myself. I love myself. I love myself. And if you can't say that, if it feels awkward, just start with, I like myself. I like myself. I like myself. You look in the mirror and you say these things. And if you can't even do that, just pick one thing that you like about yourself. One thing. It can be the shirt you're wearing. It can be the color of your eyes. It can be anything. And you build and build from small to larger. And eventually you get to the point where you are radiating self-love. And actually what you're doing on a biological level, by the way, on a neuroscientific level, is you're building neural networks in your brain to develop self-love. That's your barrier, that's your protector. Because when you go out in the world and you start interacting with people and someone acts unfavorably towards you, you're going to think twice about interacting with them. You're going to protect your peace. And you're going to do it with love and compassion towards them as well, because you're radiating self-love. It's not this selfish, I'm better than them. It's, dang, I have to protect my peace. I wish this person had self-love or love for me in which they could act more appropriately to me, but they don't. They are going through their own problems, and that's terrible. And they have their own attachments, and they have their own hatreds that are leading them to act and react this way. I feel compassion for them. True compassion. True compassion. I'm getting off tangent here, but basically, yeah, self-love is your protector. And once you practice non-attachment in this breakup, you need to start filling yourself with self-love because you want to protect yourself in the future, and you also want to heal yourself in this moment. Give yourself compassion for what you're experiencing. Give yourself compassion for the suffering that you may be putting yourself through, all the while still holding non-attachment. The reason I say putting yourself through is if we hold attachment, if we're not practicing non-attachment to this experience, we will end up suffering more. But if we simply hold non-attachment, we will not suffer. Instead, it will just be an unpleasant experience that we are not reacting to. These are the basic teachings in Buddhist practice, is holding non-attachment to not react, to let it be. One of my favorite teachers, I'll leave you with a quick quote on that, which is, it is not about how we wish it would be, but just about how it is, accepting all things as they are, not as we wish they would be. Anyway, moving forward now, coming back to self-love, filling ourselves with self-love, we lead to grief. Grief is a really heavy one. And basically what you will be doing in this experience is you are grieving all of those things that could have been. You are grieving what was. You are grieving what is. You are grieving the experience in its entirety. I like to look at grief as kind of the next step beyond non-attachment. So we have the non-attachment, then we have the self-love, and then we have the grief. The grief and the non-attachment are somewhat related, because when we distance ourselves with non-attachment and we finally untangle ourselves from the emotion, now we have the space to fully honor it, to fully be there with it, to fully extend ourselves to it, to fully be present with it. And I have to tell you, my friends, it is one of the most healing things you can do. But you need to know how to grieve properly. You have to make sure that you do not become attached to your grief, or detached to your grief, or hateful or spiteful of your grief. The problem with grief is because it is so intense and people don't have enough self-love or non-attachment practice, they can become intoxicated with it. They can become numb to it. I've seen people grieve for years longer than they need to, and I've also seen people not grieve 1 second. They lose a best friend or a mother or a partner. They break up with somebody, something happens, and they ignore it. They drink that problem away, so to speak, but it never goes away. They put themselves through this detached experience where they are not honoring their loved one. It's actually quite sad when you think about it. So grief is important because of whatever's happening, a breakup, a passing of a partner, whatever. It could even be something small, like losing a job opportunity, which maybe could be small or not small depending on your financial situation. I've been there as well. Honoring that, still being present with it, grieving it, giving yourself self-love, non-attaching to it, pulling away from it, untangling, but then grieving it. And just acknowledging, dang, this sucks. This sucks. And that's okay. And what you're doing is you're learning to be okay with not being okay. And that's it, my friends. That's the practice. I appreciate you sticking through for the end. If you guys want to check out some of my other videos, let me know. Give me a comment as well. This was a really fun video to make. And I look forward to seeing y'all in the future. May you be well. May you be free of suffering. And I'll see you in the next video.